Alright, welcome back to part 2. So we left off with our ball 1. We're dragging it around, so we are going to call it to move to my current XY. That'll follow my finger. And we said we need to make it ask the question if the ball is ever not touching the color white, meaning if the ball ever touches the black or the green, or I mean the blue or the red, any color that's not along the white of the maze, it's going to reset back to its original spot. So what we're going to do is we used one of these green logic blocks, this equal to block, and we said if something is not equal to the color white. So we need to figure out how to make it sense if the ball, if its current XY position on our canvas is not on the white. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to canvas, and there's this one purple box. It's kind of down towards the bottom of the purple. That's called call canvas 1 get pixel color. So it's going to basically check on the canvas where a certain, like, what the color value is on a certain pixel on the screen on its XY coordinate. So I'm going to drag this and put it in there. So you can see there's still two little dots in here. So we need to say, we need to check where the ball is on the X and Y location. And wherever the ball's X and Y, it's going to get whatever color it's currently on right here. So we're going to say we need to make it check for where the ball is at. So again, if I need the ball, I need to go back into here. And then all the way towards the very, very bottom, there's this one here called ball 1X and ball 1Y. So I'm going to drag that one over. And I'm going to also drag ball 1Y over. So this is saying it's going to get whatever pixel color that the ball X and Y location is at on my canvas. And it's going to check. If that pixel color is anything but white, then something should happen. So if I go outside of my white maze area, it's going to set me back to my original location. Okay, so you could do it a couple ways, but here's the way that I did it on mine. So we will just go ahead and hit set ball X and set ball Y. So basically, if I touch any other color that's not white, in this case it's probably going to be black. If I hit the wall, it's going to set my XY value back, and this is why we put those numbers in before. It's going to set it back to my original location. So I'm going to say it's going to set my ball X to get my ball start X, which is again this number up here. And I can just duplicate this. So, and I need to update this to say ball start Y. So now this says if I touch anything but white, it's going to move my X back to my original X and Y locations that we set up here. Okay, so this is most of the code. We have the ball moving around the maze at this point, and if you touch the black, it will send you back to the beginning. It's going to be a little glitchy, as you'll find out, but for the purpose of this one day little activity, it'll works well enough. All right, so now we need to drag a second if-then block, because we need to ask a second question that says, if the ball touches that image sprite that we set up, that little hidden white trap spot. So if we're asking if I'm touching another object, we need to go to the ball and say, if ball 1 is colliding with another thing. We did this for the brain placement stuff, right? And the brains, right? If brain colliding with brain placement, that sort of thing. So nothing really different here. So we're asking, is the ball colliding with what? Well, if we look back, remember, it's that little image sprite. So if the ball collides with the image sprite, something should happen. So if ball 1, I go to image sprite now, all the way at the bottom. Remember, we can scroll down and hit the little tag for that. So if ball 1 is colliding with image sprite, then, and this is a new one, and this is something that a lot of people end up using a lot on their final app that they make themselves, where they have buttons and it goes to different screens and stuff. So this is a pretty popular one. So up at the top under control, if you scroll down a little bit, there's this one that says open another screen with screen name blank. So if the ball touches that little trap spot, I want to open that second screen that we set up to have the scary noise and everything, right? And then we just have to go and tell it what screen to open. So in this case, I'm going to use my text box. So I went to text, I clicked the top one, and I need to type in exactly what that screen is called. So if you remember, we just called it screen 2. Make sure everything is exactly the same. Capitals, space, really shouldn't be any spaces, but just make sure it's the same thing. And with this, we're pretty much done with this screen. If I touch anything besides white, if I touch black, it brings me back. If I touch the little trap spot, it takes me to the right, or the new screen. I'm not really worrying about if it touches like the red or the end point, because technically they're not ever supposed to get to that point anyway. So, with that said, we still need to code what happens when it goes to screen 2, because remember, it's supposed to switch to this screen and a noise should play. Like, we want something to scare them. So I'm back on the block screen. I want you to switch to screen 2 up here. And this is going to be really, really simple, okay? So if I go under Control, scroll down. Actually, sorry, it's not under Control. It's under Screen 2. So right here, we've got the Screen 2 options. So at the very top, it's not the very top. We scroll down a little bit right here. So it says when Screen 2 initializes. Initialize is another word for like loads or starts. So when Screen 2 loads up, what do we want it to do? We want it to play that noise. So we have that sound block that we added before. So we want to say call sound 1 to play. That's pretty much it. When this screen loads, it will play that sound really loud. The only other thing that we have left, again, we're pretty much done, is remember, we had that reset button. So we had this reset button that brings us back to the other screen. So let's just make that work. So button 1, you might have called it reset button, but when that button is clicked, we just want to be able to load back that other screen. So I go under Control again, I open another screen, and I just want it to be able to go back to screen 1. Okay. And that's basically it. You could make something just in case, so where it says like, when I go back off this screen, it calls sound 1 to stop, so that noise doesn't keep playing. You could even probably put something in the block menu about when screen 1 initializes, which again, this is not probably necessary, but you could just in case it wasn't resetting properly. When screen 1 initializes, I can just duplicate this stuff. You know, make sure my ball is always going back to the right spot, that sort of thing. So I just duplicated those 2 lines. Basically, kind of resetting all my options. But that's pretty much it. You should now have a ball that moves around. It hits the image sprite 1, it causes screen 2 to load. And when screen 2 does load or initialize, it makes that sound play, and that creepy picture that you put in should be staring at them in the face. So it's going to be a little laggy on the test menu when you are testing this on a tablet, but it should work in theory. And if we were to finalize the app and package it for like a phone, or to kind of finish the app instead of the test mode, it will go a lot faster. And I can show you that if you're curious on how to like finalize the app and make a little icon that you can have on your tablet screen to like load as if it were any other app. Other than that, you need to take a screenshot of your code here. Oops. Take a screenshot of your code, and maybe take a screenshot of your other screen just so I can see that you've made another screen. So with your picture, your sound, I want to kind of see all of this screen here and your screen 1 code. Okay, that'll be what your Canvas assignment is. Take a snip and turn it in, and then go test your app, make sure it works. See you later.